Today we are happy to be here at Farmer Friday, and we have the privilege of interacting with Brandon, who is one of the employees at Deepwater Farms. And so, Brandon, why don't you give us a little story about how you got into farming?
Sure. So I went to SAIT for environmental tech, and I had the option to go to, I think, either Olds, Athabasca, Lethbridge to get a environmental science degree from those places, but I decided to go to Victoria. And out in Victoria, a lot of people do a lot of home gardening. And I noticed that that was not so much something that I could physically do at that time, but it was pretty cool. And when I came back to Calgary, I was just looking for jobs. And the first one that came up actually was Deepwater Farms. And I was like, no way. Firstly, they came to SAIT when I was at SAIT for a little Fezzi. And secondly, that's like perfect. It's the perfect job for my degree and what I was kind of interested in at the time. And right now, it's definitely what I'm into.
Nice. So not a typical farmer like our soil-based farmers, but why don't you tell us about those racks behind you?
Yeah, so the way that we grow here at Deepwater Farms is hydroponically, and it's a multi-level. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 times 5 beds of floating racks. They look like this, and we float them 7 at a time for 27 rows of them down a 60-foot bed. And after about 13 to 14 days, we harvest them.
Wow, that's a very quick turnaround.
Oh yeah.
So maybe just to kind of explain the process. So that tray has been pre-seeded.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us like what happens from the point of a seed until you're ready to harvest?
So from a seed, we have our trays. We load them with coconut coir, not soil, and then we seed all of the rafts that we need for one bed, and then we float them the same day, 2 days after we seed them. So they sit in big stacks of like 189. And once it comes to harvest, we take the ones that had been sitting for the 2-day germination period, float them. So we push the newly seeded trays and force the ready to harvest ones out the other side. And it goes onto an assembly, kind of like an assembly line, and it gets harvested at the whichever height we need it at, depending on the crop. And then, yeah, that's literally it. It sits there for, right now we're doing 24-hour photo periods. So that's why we get that quick turnaround. We're thinking about doing some 20-hour daylight, 4-hour night cycles, just for the heat, because it's really hot in here. I don't know if you can tell. But yeah, that's basically it. And the beds are flowing constantly with water. I don't know the exact flow rate, but it's nonstop.
It's fascinating. And so why don't we jump to kind of what are you growing behind you? What are the different crops that you've got going?
Sure. So at the bottom level, I don't know if you guys can see. At the bottom level, right there, it's Amara, so kale, the kale that we sell. And then it's going to be, this one right here is arugula. This is also arugula as a seedling. And then we also have our salad mix, which is way over there. And that's it. Those are our 3 varieties: arugula, kale, salad mix.
Cool. And so you said hydroponically, but you also have fish in the warehouse. Is that correct?
We do, yeah. So we're at the back of the warehouse right now. The very front of the warehouse, there's about 20, almost 30 something fish tanks of various sizes, from 200 gallon to like 500, 600 gallon tanks. And We do collect their waste product and we do store it in some settling tanks. But right now it's been difficult to be able to use that high nutrient waste to be able to run it through our system. So right now it's hydroponic. It's not fully aquaponic.
So urban agriculture gets thrown around. We were chatting before we got recording, but I'm a spin farmer and have taken, vacant or backyards and turned that into vegetable gardens.
Right.
You guys at Deepwater provide a completely different idea for urban agriculture. What else do you think is possible for the urban setting to produce food for cities?
From my understanding, if you were to look at the city of Calgary, at like a climate perspective, so the microclimate in the downtown core is quite warm compared to like the outside as you go out and out and out. So you could really grow on rooftops in the city of Calgary if you wanted to. You can repurpose a lot of, maybe I wouldn't say office space, but like office roofs, much like IGN. I don't know if you saw IGN doing that. I think over in Montreal, they repurposed their entire roof to grow vegetables and sell in IGN in their stores.
Right.
So there's a lot of possibility with space that's already here that we don't need to make more space. It's just trying to figure out what A is possible and B what is, I guess, accepted by people, because I'm sure you've run into issues where you asked if for spin where backyards were, they said no. I'm sure. Right. So it's kind of the public eye, how they are okay with it, if they're okay with it, and then just securing that space, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's great to know that, a warehouse here in Calgary can produce greens year round. So that's something that we've come to rely on Deepwater Farms, is the fact that we can get, sorry, everybody's reading the pop-up. Thanks to that, hail-proof. So
Absolutely.
important this year. A lot of our outdoor farms are suffering from the hail, and you guys have not.
Yeah. It's just a big old drum up there. It's just keeps banging and banging. It's crazy.
It's a good thing it's not happening now. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the warehouse noise. The drum on top of the roof.
Exactly.
But so here's another curious thing is that we've got, a lot of people ended up working from home during COVID, and some people are pretty committed to not returning to the office. They like this work from home option. And so, that does kind of leave maybe some office spaces that are empty and vacant.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Do you think a system like this could get put into vacant office spaces?
I do think so. It's a matter of the scale. You could have a community garden in an office space if you wanted, but you just have to make sure the scale's not too big because of the power necessary, and the maintenance, I guess, right? Because you do have water flowing through, you do have a lot of inputs, outputs that you have to think about. So it all comes back to scale.
Right.
It's a very small scale, 1 or 2 beds of this size, sure, maybe. 20 of them? I don't know.
What about doing this as taking that empty office and having food growing in an office kind of context? So something that employees could engage in in one of the downtown towers.
Absolutely. I think that'd be an amazing idea.
Yeah, well, maybe we need to contract Paul out to kind of go shop that out to companies.
Oh, yeah. He'd be the guy for sure.
Yeah, nice. Question. You said it's hot in there. There's people with parkas behind you. What's going on?
They are our packaging team. So they we package all of our stuff by hand, and they're mainly in the fridge for us for like 8 hours a day.
Okay, got it.
And and every time they show up, they're fully suited up as if it was -30 outside. And every single day, I ask them, "How are you not melting?" They say, "Oh no, we're used to this. It's cold all the time, so all right, whatever."
Yeah, so crazy. I love the visuals because it's not at all like our outdoor farms, which
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
right now we're featuring our outdoor farms, and so it's been so good to have you on here, Brandon.
thank you.
We do typically wrap up our call with the question: what is the most satisfying thing for you about farming, about producing food?
For me, I think I'd have to say being able to take pride in a product that I really think is environmentally forward in regards to agriculture, urban agriculture, pardon me. So seeing my friends, my family, complete strangers enjoying the product that I worked hard for and all my coworkers worked very hard for to produce in the city of Calgary at this scale is like a sense of accomplishment that I have yet to find up until this year since starting.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that different from so many of our outdoor farms. There really is something to producing food that people consume and enjoy. And yeah, when you're involved in the process and you know the health benefits, you know how it's been grown. Beautiful thing to take pride in. Any closing comments?
Please enjoy the kale. We worked really hard for it.
Nice. We will definitely enjoy the kale.